All right, I got a good trivia for you. It's not, I don't expect you to know it, but you'll laugh when you do get it.
Okay.
Does that
All
make
right.
sense? Okay. PFF grades. We'll just go special teams. Who's number one in 2024 for the NFL in special teams rating grades?
Does Matthew Slater still play football? I think he retired.
Matthew Slater?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, you don't know. You don't know Matthew Slater? Okay. Who? God, what special teams? Fuck, if I know a special team rates number one. Oh, it's the Bengals.
That's right.
The
Is that
only reason
every
that's
year? Do you know? I mean, you've had PFF obviously a while. I don't know what a while was, but a few years at least. So
I don't know if I look at
that
NFL special teams ratings.
Yeah, that's fine. That's totally respectable. Bengals at 90.9 special teams grade.
Hell yeah, go Darren Simmons.
Darren Simmons, man, still hanging around. I wonder how many years he has at the Bengals.
God, he survived a lot of coaches.
Was he there before Marvin?
Good question. I bet he came with Marvin. So I guess he's really only had Marvin, and I guess he's only had two coaches.
So what is that? That's over 10 years. So where are we at 15?
Yeah, big time. We're at like 15 now.
That's pretty.
Because I feel like when I was there, he had been there like 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah, long time to be in one city.
How bad Evan McPherson? Now he got better as the season progressed. Evan McPherson was early, and then they lost him at the end because of a groin injury, right? Mm-hmm. And they had to sign another kicker. But like punting, they've always been elite. With his name's escaping me. You'll definitely know it. The punter when we were there, he was punting forever.
He did punt forever.
Oh, I thought you would know it. Oh man, not Kevin.
Got it. Yeah, it was Kevin.
Kevin.
Yep. Something.
Okay.
we had Mike Nugent, a kicker.
Yeah, he was only there for a couple years longer.
Yeah. But the punter was there forever. Played college at Cincinnati.
Oh man, he was good. Very good.
He was good. He was nice.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say he's a weird guy. That's not how I'd phrase it. But even keel guy, like never too high, too low. Just I know what I need to do. Just your boy, just give me the ball and let's punt it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. With a couple weird comments thrown in every once in a while or something.
Oh, really?
No, he was a cool guy. When you were I thought you were gonna go that direction, but yeah, very even killed dude.
Yeah. All right. Facts, Lies, One Truth. Here with Ox and Meisch, we got two Joes and Wannabe Pros coming out of the wild card weekend, and I guess if you want to count the CFP semifinals as well. How'd you do on those, by the way? I know you didn't have any best bets. Did you have any bets on the CFP semis?
Yes, I had the Texas team total under, if you remember.
Yeah. How was that?
That hit. Yep. It was, what was it, 23.5, and they lost 28-14. So it was in jeopardy when it was 21-14. And Texas had the ball at the 1 yard line.
Yep.
Because I was like, fuck, overtime,
Yeah, and then you're done. Yeah.
And I was like, man, this looked like a lock all game. They're struggling to score. But then obviously we know what happened. So I hit that. The other game, Notre Dame, Penn State, I feel like I took the under and missed it.
Yeah, well, me too. A lot of people had that. So, but that's what happens. Okay. Also, I saw something, and I think I might scroll up the state. I think it's Illinois, state of Illinois. They are banning or on board to ban single prop bets.
What?
Yep.
You have to parlay it?
Yep. Just like, was it Pro Picks or Prize Picks or whatever the hell it is, where props only, right?
Right.
But for those, you have to parlay. You have to have at least two.
Yep.
Yeah. So they're on board because they say, and I was kind of reading about this. I have a book that I'm reading called Interception. That's just so hard to price them. Props. I mean, we've had some luck this year, obviously on some props for sure.
Yeah.
They said they're just so hard to price them that they don't know what to do. Or not, I wouldn't. That's not. I should have said that, but not knowing what to do. Just it's just a little bit. They don't have as much advantage as the other thing.
Yeah, they're obviously not making enough money that they want to take that risk on anymore.
Correct. So I don't know how much traction.
I hope it doesn't become a trend. Yeah.
I know.
State to state.
Don't know how much traction that'll get, but I saw that today. That Illinois is on board to ban that. So want to throw that by. All right. Where we were right, we'll go over these pretty quickly. I had Ravens, Bills, Eagles, the moneyline parlay for this past week. That was I really liked it. We kind of talked about it. Who would be the one to lose out of those three? And we were kind of leaning Eagles, which they never seemed in jeopardy. I don't think, the Packers didn't even hold a lead for the entire game, so that wasn't necessarily in jeopardy. So it was a pretty good hit. Felt pretty good there. That was the only best bet I had. It was over, 3 games, but that's fine. They were all pretty good favorites, money line wise, right? Mm-hmm. So, but you had a couple wins. Chargers, Texans, first half.
Yeah, 2-2 on the week. Good thing I took the first half, too, because the full game did not come under.
A couple interceptions. Crazy.
Yeah, right. The pick six. Yep. Yeah, 3 turnovers by Justin Herbert?
That's, yep.
Maybe? Yeah. So... that conversation was funny during the game. Top 5 quarterback.
Oh man. Well, it's easy to say that now. If he wins that game, I guess you can then enter that conversation back going. But that dude still seems to disappoint. And everybody's talking about, if you're selling Herbert stock, right? Harbaugh's buying, Big Cat's buying. Okay. I mean, we buy winners here, right? And he hasn't shown me that he can do that. But
that's your problem. I like him a little bit more than you. Not top 5 though. Not top 5.
Right, fair. But anyway, under 20.5 first half was a winner. And the one that was tough, I thought, but hit the Eckler one.
Yeah, Eckler over 18.5. It was very tough. We did not hit that till the final Washington drive.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he had 9, 10 yards, and then got a nice 15-yarder.
Really?
Something like that. Yeah, on their last drive in the fourth quarter. So it was a sweat. But we got there.
Yep.
I mean, I was banking on that happening a lot earlier in the game. They were just not doing that much. And Chris Collinsworth kept talking about it. They love throwing the ball to Eckler. And I was like, they're not fucking doing
it. Yeah, for real.
Then we got there. So then where we were wrong, really bad on my sides this week. Very fucking bad. Broncos plus 8.5. I mean, didn't look bad at halftime at all. But 13-7.
I know. I was on the same side too.
Yeah, so that's did not. I thought the Broncos were going to score more. Keep it that simple.
Yeah. It was flat. Second half just flat. Nothing happened. Dead bet.
Yep. Dead bet. Very much. Yep. Other one was the Chargers Ravens money line. Got that at even money. Chargers disappointing. I mean,
shocked that you went Chargers there.
God, I just thought the Texans sucked. I know we've talked about it. We feel that way. But I guess, the home playoff game, and they stuck around, dude. First quarter, they were getting their ass beaten every way, but they just kept hanging around, and it finally turned.
Yeah. And then with I had Texans money line plus 130. Now, it wasn't a lot, so I'm not gloating by any stretch. It's just one of those where, I thought they'd probably win, but I don't know, so you just kind of throw a little bit at it. And it hit. But yeah, I just plus when you turn the ball over, man, it's hard to win. Period. Especially when there's scores, right? That's such a deflating thing. So, but they'll have to show their true colors again, right? Playing the Chiefs again, which we've seen the Texans get up. What was it, 24-7? It's a few years ago now.
And just with Deshaun Watson.
That's right, Deshaun Watson, and then Mahomes comes all the way back to beat him. So
yeah.
All right, we'll hit the graphics really quick. We'll also show the action URL codes, too, because I haven't done that. But, all right, 35-32 for you, 33-36. I got me a 1 win in the column there. Looking for I got 2 this week, so maybe I'll get back to 500 maybe here, a little closer. Come up, and then I'll flash the action URL codes for everybody. Yeah, here's Action. You can scan it with your phone. Get yourself a follow on the Action app. We use that pretty regularly. Or at least I do. I got my routine down now.
What's a routine? I mean, I log all my football bets. And
that's what I'm saying. Anytime I bet on Hard Rock, because that's what I'm betting on, I immediately go to Action and log it. So
okay, yeah, that's me too. Otherwise, I'll forget.
100%. Yep. So I got those. There's the action URL codes if you're following us on the video portion, and we can jump right into some bets possibly. But we'll cover the CFP semifinals, college football, last game of the year. Just so we're clear, still not a fan. of the 12-team playoff, and it doesn't have anything to do really with the teams or the seeding. Like, I mean, we've talked about that on this show, but like, dude, now we're battling with NFL playoff games.
Yep.
I know it's on Monday. It's not playing at the same time. Like, I get that. I'm just saying, like, that's going on. This is going on. I feel like a little bit college football now is forgotten. I don't know if that's true or not. That's how I feel. Maybe because I've been involved all year.
I think it's a great point because I feel the same way. Like coming up, I was like,
Okay.
I had to like click. I was like, holy shit, there's still a national championship game to play. Like I had written it off because we're in playoffs. Like you said, I am such in playoff mode.
I am too.
Yeah.
And I'm not even an NFL guy. That's just why I'm not a fan of it. And they got a pretty good game. I mean, in terms of fan bases, right? Notre Dame and Ohio State, that's pretty good.
Yeah, right. You two big schools, you probably went in there, and the
Yeah.
spread's not terrible. It's been worse in the title game.
Yeah. I don't know. And I mean, we'll go right into it. I just think that in terms of, was it 8.5 at the moment? I think it's sitting at, yes.
Yes.
We'll flash that up. Oh, not there yet. But yeah, that's what I think it is in terms of like, I think that's fair. You know what I mean? Like with how good how good Ohio State's looked. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. I don't know. I think that's a fair number, but at the same time, it's like not something I want to actually touch. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. Yep.
Yeah. So, do you have any bets on the game yourself? I know you mentioned pre-show. You might have a couple action items here.
I do have some bets. I forget it's a Monday night game. Yeah, Monday night.
7:30
this week. Yeah, 7:30 for you. That's right.
Yep.
Yeah, 4:30 Pacific time on a Monday.
Wow.
Sucks for them.
That does suck for them,
Doesn't it? Yeah. Anyways, okay, yes, I do have a couple bets on the game. A couple small bets here. I have Ohio State minus 8.5, and I also have Notre Dame team total under 18.5. That particularly has worked every game in the playoffs for Ohio State, taking the other team's total under. I've done it twice. It's hit twice. So we're going back to the well. I don't think Riley Leonard, not a great passer, and Ohio State, I think, is so much better at defending the run, maybe than the other teams they've played. So I see this probably just a low scoring battle. That's the easy narrative on this, probably because they have two great defenses.
Right.
Yeah, and the OSU small bet, I'm just like, I could see him winning by 14 and it being a dud. I don't really have big confidence in that one. So you don't have any bets on the game?
Not at the moment. The under obviously is pretty popular. It kind of burned me in this Notre Dame Penn State game, so that's why I'm a little like, oh, God, do I really want to go back to that? You know what I mean? But I think like if you like Notre Dame at all, they want to keep this game relatively close, right? So they can control it and run the game and do their thing. It's just, here's my feel though on it. Like, I feel like a lot of people probably bet against Penn State throughout these playoffs. Right? You had Georgia, you had Penn State. Probably a lot of people were against them. I mean, like you just said, the team unders have been hitting for Ohio State, defense against the other team. Same thing with Notre Dame, man. They keep continuing to surprise some people here, kind of on the run. Freeman seems like he's already won more big games than Brian Kelly ever did at Notre Dame. He's only, I think it's his second year
Seriously.
or whatever. It is now. So it's tough for me. That's why I don't have anything on it, because it's tough for me to go against either team. Ohio State's better, but Notre Dame's kind of proved that they're up to the challenge, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like their rushing stats have not, in terms of these playoffs, Notre Dame hasn't really jumped off the page like they have in, throughout the regular season, probably. Mm-hmm. But they're still controlling the game to win it. And that's pretty sweet. It's pretty impressive stuff. Like they stop the run well, and they're not a bad pass defense by any stretch either. So it's like defense and then ball control. Seems to be winning football games. Why can't they do the same thing again?
Yeah, they absolutely could.
So I don't have a good feel is the thing. Like, I just think that similar to playoff games, NFL playoff games, which we've touched on, like last week I went a lot of money lines. And it was a parlay. That's why I wanted to increase the value. But like with this, the spread's going to be pretty close to spot on. I just don't know if I want to touch it because, they're going to know so much already.
Yeah. That's 100%. This is going to be bet into by everybody. And it's going to be a tight number. Hard to get any value on the game.
Correct.
Absolutely. 8.5 is a good number. That's why it hasn't moved. Probably don't see it moving. I always wonder a couple hours before kickoff when you've had this number hold. will public coming in change the number?
Have enough,
because that's because the public comes last minute and just hammers. But otherwise, I think you're right. It's hard to find value on this game. But in Notre Dame, like you said, they have to run the football well and keep the game close, play good defense because they win ugly football.
Yep.
And Ohio State's just seemingly gotten better every week.
And a money line bet I don't think is entirely stupid or silly.
No.
I mean, it's a national championship game, right? Like, go for it. I mean, you can get plus 325. I think that's totally worth it there at Bet Rivers. Like, oh my gosh, it's nice. Because if Texas scores on the one, who knows where we're at with that game?
Yep, that's so true.
Like the value alone.
And Texas would have only been like a 2.5, 3.5 point favorite, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Not as big.
Yeah.
So there's that. That's an angle.
Yeah, it is. So, like, if anything, throw a couple bucks at the money line, I guess, kind of vibe, just to say you did. Just to say you did with Notre Dame. But I don't know. We'll see how I feel come Monday and because I haven't really done a ton of research on the game because Vegas is going to know all that already with the line and stuff. So at that point, You throw that out. So I think it comes down to emotion, feel, all of that. Maybe a trend or two that you might hear, but it's not. I've moved on to the NFL, like we just talked about. That's where my focus has been, and is basically going to stay.
Right? Yep, 100%. Yes.
All right, so we'll kick it off with that. I had a question that I thought was pretty good. I've heard it around. Is what team has the most pressure on it? Which NFL team has the most pressure on it? Going to this last divisional round here.
The team with the most pressure. Brian, you could go a few different ways with this. Top of mind, do you think Lions, just because this is probably an all-in year because they're going to lose both their coordinators to head coaching jobs. Josh Allen, there's always going to be pressure, and Lamar Jackson. Those two. Those three teams is where the debate lies, right? Just because Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen haven't even been to a Super Bowl. But their accolades are incredible. Between those three teams, who has the most pressure? I would still say the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. It's tough. That's why I think you could make strong arguments for any of those three teams. But if I have to settle on one, I'm going to say Lamar, man, because he's going to be talked about the most in the media.
Dang. Yeah. See, I think it's pretty heavily Bills for me. I think.
Okay.
Yeah. How many times are we going to get to this spot? Especially if they win, same thing. I think the pressure even grows. How many times are we going to get to this spot with Josh Allen for him to not get over the hump? Like, when do you blow up the team? How many times are we going to do this? How many times are we going to lose to Mahomes? Maybe, right? We talked about earlier on the show, earlier in the year. They kind of have their number a little bit in the regular season, but playoffs, man, Mahomes owns his soul. You know what I mean? Well, he owns a lot of people's soul, so that doesn't really count. I guess maybe not Burrows. I don't know. Whatever. But yeah. So, like, that's the thing is, like, I think there's just so much pressure on the Bills. And, like, if they don't do it again, what's the answer? Right? Like, do you blow this team up at that point? Like, I don't know.
Wouldn't be crazy.
I know. And they got rid of Diggs, right? So they're kind of slowly trying to shift something. I mean, I'm not saying get rid of Allen. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying completely switch the way maybe the team's built. Maybe really focus on defense. And maybe having a better, I don't know, maybe just really shift to the run. I don't know. I know Allen's athletic, but that's a woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Yeah. No, they're all good points. And I think you could say a lot of similar things about the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. Because when are they going to get over the hump?
Yeah.
His playoff record's not very good. But it's the team that does lose the game. He seems to kind of choke in some big situations. But I think like kind of the same arguments for the Bills go with the Ravens, man. That's why this game's going to be so awesome to watch. One, because you have two of the best teams in the NFL playing, and then you have those narratives. And both teams are going to feel pressure. Yeah,
and I mean, you might have two MVPs. Whoever wins, could win MVP, right? I guess that's kind of the feeling of that. So, okay, I was just wondering. All right, we'll go to the first game. It's always the Chiefs. We feel like we talk about, but first game of the weekend: Texans at Chiefs. Texans upsetting the Chargers. What do you got?
Texans upsetting the Chargers. Texans come back to earth here. Obviously, an easy narrative is Chiefs start slow. Because everyone's talking about they haven't played their starters since Christmas Day. So it has been 3 weeks that they've been off, basically. 2.5, 3. And so I put a little bit of money on Houston first half plus 5.5 because I'm going to buy into that narrative that KC starts a little slow. Houston maybe even goes down, scores early. KC takes a couple drives to get going. But I say Houston comes back to earth because Jalen Watson comes back for KC, cornerback, played weeks 1 through 7. Their number 2 guy. And he's coming back. I don't think like when you come back at this point, you play 100% of the snaps, but I think it makes a difference. Like I think the Chiefs defense, their problem was the pass defense. Houston hasn't really had much of a pass offense, especially since they lost Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell. When they only have one of those guys, they're not very good. And Chiefs run defense is graded very well, and you can also see it with every game. So if the Texans have trouble running the football, I don't think their pass attack's better. Chiefs defense gets a little help. Yeah, that's how I could see it going. It's a slow start. Texans look good early. Chiefs take it in the second half.
Yeah, Mixon is, what is he now, questionable heading into the game? I heard that report today. That's a huge deal if that's the case in my eyes. Yeah, he's questionable.
Big. Yep.
So that's a bit concerning there. But you talked about this last week on how it's going to be approached, but with the teams that get extended rest, it's not good. Like in the later season games, teams that have a 75% plus win percentage and is playing on extended rest, right? They only cover 42.5% of the games since 2003. And the playoffs only extended rest teams that are very good. That drops down to 41.4%, basically the same, covering ATS. So if you want to go with a trend number of rest with ATS, you're obviously on the plus 8.5 here for the Texans, or whatever you get it at. I know as we can see here, there's some numbers floating around, maybe a 10. I don't see that on the books I see here, but they do have a line that could be out there. Anyway, it's 8.5 most books. Okay. I do have 8.5 Texans. I do. I just think there's a lot of things. If you look at the game, the highest grades last week, it's 2 defensive ends for the Texans. Hunter and Anderson Jr., right? Played very well. They weren't even the highest grade person. Lassiter, obviously with the pick 6, was a player of the game. But also, if you look at the actual coverage rating, Stingley, yes, Derek Stingley actually had a better coverage rating.
Stud. Yeah, he's nice.
Back, second best coverage grade corner in the NFL. So,
yeah,
that's why it's tough for me to shift towards the Chiefs here. I hate betting against Mahomes. You always should. 2 very good defensive ends. They played well last week. And they had Joe Alt, who also graded pretty well for the Chargers in the game. But obviously, there's 2 defensive ends and I guess 1 really good tackle. So kind of outnumbered them. But anyway, you got Lassiter, Stingley, Hunter, Anderson. I like the pass rush. And we've also seen the Chiefs line have some issues this year, right? We've seen it. Mahomes has even got, air quotes, banged up. Tackles, that's it. You got me, right? Humphreys and Taylor, a little worried about them. That's their weakest link, right, is the 2 edges. So we got edge rushers here, 2 DNs. We got the weakest links in tackles. We got good corners here. And let's be real, I don't know. There's some receivers. I mean, I guess receivers don't really matter. Like Hopkins could have a big game. We've seen Worthy come up in certain situations. Brown's been coming on here later in the year, right? Kelsey, I don't. He's a playoff player. He's a playoff baller. But are we gonna see that? I'm assuming we will, right? But the 8.5 just seems a little strong for me. That's the only thing I have. And plus, we got the rest, the trend. I'm not trying not to read too much into that. But anyway, C.J. Stroud's the 5th most pressured quarterback in the NFL this year. Was kept very clean versus the Chargers. That was why they had so much success. Well, some success on offense.
Yeah, I think pass rush on both sides is going to be big here. 100%.
Yes, and obviously we got Chris Jones on the other side.
and a pretty good pass rush team overall in the Chiefs. So, yeah, man. I mean, I hear what you're saying. But it's going to be big for both sides, like I said, the pass rush thing. And I wonder if DJ Humphreys, because he was supposed to be an addition, right? Midseason pickup because he tore his ACL last year. He's graded better in the past. He only played 1 week this year, got hurt, came back week 18 in that throwaway game. and played 30 snaps, if I remember correctly, so probably didn't play a full game. He obviously a little more time to heal. So is that an upgrade versus what they've had all year? Because he only got to play one game, right?
Right.
And a tackle was now the other side's still not great with Jawan Taylor, so that could very well be an issue. These teams did play a month ago. I think that was the game they got Marquise Brown back on offense. And it was 27-19. So Chiefs still found ways, and they didn't even have DJ Humphries in that game, nor did they have Jalen Watson. I think that was Marquise's first game back, so he's going to be integrated more. So it'll be interesting because I think maybe the one narrative to go against your trend is read off a bye, and you read off a bye.
Yeah,
this is like a 2-week bye, but still coming off a bye, he's trends the other way, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of counteracts, or there'd be the argument against that, I suppose.
I do have something on the total here for you. Of 69 career starts at home, this would be the second lowest total of Mahomes' career. 40.5, depending on what it's going to be. Sorry, I can bring it up here.
Oof.
For the viewers, so to speak. Here we go, over under. Okay, so we're at 41.5. All right, it'd be the second lowest total. The lowest he's ever had is 40.5, and that's against the Raiders. And
nice.
Yeah. So that's why I may lean a bit over here, to be honest with you. Just because that total is awful low. But at the same token, I don't know how strongly I feel about that. I guess it kind of comes down to like how much do we think the Chiefs offense is going to actually do. Plus you got to think it's over 10 mile an hour winds with 23 degrees. Does that factor
cold
in at all?
More for Texans if it does.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah. Just a quick tidbit here. Mahomes is great. I mean, he's great, period. But in cold weather, it does not bother him. Under 40 degrees, he's 21-12 ATS. 35, he's 15-5. 11-4 under 32, and under 30 is 8-3 ATS.
Nice.
So if you're trying to have a cold weather play, that's why I think the total's a bit weird, as in not enough for me to play on an under with it. Just being the second lowest ever, I would lean over, but I don't have a strong play on that. Something that you might want to look at, I've also kind of seen here in my research, is Chiefs let up the second most yards to tight ends in the NFL. The only problem is the Texans don't have a great receiving tight end necessarily. That's why that's a little bit like, because, Dalton Schultz, I don't know. But maybe Sherrod looks for him, like you said, with a pass rush here. You go straight to your tight end. But go ahead.
Oh, just tough game. That's what I was going to say, right? I feel like there's a lot of counterpoints that were being made.
Yeah. Kareem Hunt over 42.5 reception receiving yards is the next one I have as well for this.
Rushing plus receiving? Kareem
Yes,
Hunt?
rushing plus receiving.
You think he gets integrated more?
I do believe he gets integrated more, just because I don't necessarily think that Pacheco's been that effective, and Pacheco doesn't get as many snaps as you might think. Kind of dove into this, Kareem Hunt's pretty effective as an overall back on both sides, in terms of I'm talking about running, right, and receiving. So that's kind of why I was kind of digging him with that when I was looking at him. But the thing is, they kind of do like an Eckler Thomas situation, right, where they split snaps basically. Yep. That's a scary bet, especially, as you're kind of going into that. But if you look at it, it's it's a kind of lower number, 42.5. I mean, like Kareem Hunt, let's just bank on getting 10 to 11 snaps rushing the football, right? Even if he gets, really poor, 2.0 yards a carry, we're halfway there basically, right? So now I really only need around 20-ish receiving yards. Now that's kind of the kicker. You're hoping, like you had with Eckler, you got that one 10-yard reception to kind of get you there. So that's kind of the kicker. I just think that Reed kind of integrates somebody like that a little bit more. That's what I'm feeling.
Yeah. Okay. He has looked better at times.
Yeah.
Pacheco. Since Pacheco's come back, he hasn't looked like the same Pacheco. So I think that's why they're almost splitting snaps. Their carries. So it's 8.5 over under for Kareem Hunt. So, right, he should get that 8 to 9 carries. Just kind of like what you were saying there.
I would lean over there, just because of this pass rush corner situation with the Texans, right?
Yeah.
That they try to use Humphrey, the center for the Chiefs, really just drive the ball down the field with the running backs. But again, Andy Reid, I think, is kind of tough to tell with play calling. Like, I mean, come on, versus the Bills, Kelsey only had 2 targets in that was the last pass of the game, was his second one.
Yeah.
I mean, Chiefs Bills, bro. Like, so that's why I'm like, with Reid, it's tough with play calling to kind of get into that. Nonetheless,
it's so hard to pick players. Like, player props with the Chiefs are so hard.
I know.
When they just spread it around in every game at somebody else, it's very hard knowing. Maybe it's one of those things you look at a live prop. That's not crazy. You see how the first quarter plays out.
Correct.
And then, just kind of take it from there. See how you feel like the game's going to kind of what it's trending towards.
Yeah, with the live prop thing, I mean, we've seen many times Mahomes be losing, right, in the first half, right?
Yep.
And he comes back and they win in the second half. I always saw that in a Chiefs Texans games before already. So yes, a live prop Kelsey could be well at play here. He has 1 catch maybe or 1 target in the first half, and the next thing you know,
they come. You're right. It's a different angle. That's a good point. It's a different angle to pick the Chiefs to come back. Yep. Go look at their player prop guys.
I'll never forget to kind of touch on an experience when you and I in NFL in 14, we played at the Browns in week I think it was 15, and it was Manziel's first start. AJ Green, I think, maybe had a catch in the first half. Joe Hayden shut him down in that first half. In the second half, that was not the case. AJ Green absolutely went bonkers in the second half for us to go and win that game. So, like I said, adjustments happen. So, live bet is totally a thing there. Okay. Second game of that day, and we'll move on from that, is the Commanders at Lions. Man, I'll tell you, I think this one's extremely tough to bet. Are we going back to Eckler here?
Oh, man. I think they're going to be playing from behind more. Washington, that is, right?
Fair. And high total?
This total. What do you think about that total? That is such a high
that
number.
is.
Do you have any stats on that?
I do. Yeah, I'll let you go. But yes, what is it? It's like a top 5 total ever, something like that. But anyway, go ahead.
Wow. Yeah, that's it's high. I haven't touched the total. We'll say that.
Yeah.
Because it's like the total. When I think about it, all it takes is a few 4th down conversions in the red zone that don't convert, and it's kind of busted. But I don't want to take the under because you could have 28 points scored in a quarter. So this is like a total stay away in the under. I like teasing down the Lions here. I had them at 8.5. That's when I teased them down. Obviously important to get them to 2.5. They could run away with it too. Earlier in the week, I was thinking Washington, and as the week's gone on, though, no, I just like teasing down the Lions here. That's my favorite bet. Jaden Daniels, like their last 5 games they've won on the last play of the game. That's crazy. The Commanders, that is.
That's some Mahomes shit, kind of.
They're right. I mean, he's a baller. Play. He's a baller, and you did say he's a closer. He is a closer, but my more concern is the team. Then, if they're winning every game on the last play, and now they're stepping up, they're coming off 6 days rest. Is all. Lions have the bye week. I think the Lions are going to be ready to go, man. I think they're going to score. Washington is not going to stop them. I think the Commanders. The part with them is, can they keep up? And I think they can have drives where they have success because it's not a great secondary by the Lions. So I think they can have drives, but not consistently enough. But again, I don't want to touch the total. So easy. Joe, tease the Lions down.
Answer to your question. There's been 17 over-unders in the playoffs with a total of 55 or more. So it's a little off on my top 5 ever. They are 9-8 to the over all time. Pretty wild. But that's generally how that goes. If you read books and stuff, they say if a total is that high, it's more times than not by a ton, it's going to hit. Right? Yeah. Like with that. But, always a but with betting. 4-7 to the over since 13-14. And since 13-14, 4-7 to the over. So the under has been hitting by an average of 7.1 PPG.
Wow.
I don't know if that tells you a lot, but there's been 17 total over-unders with 55 or over. So
more than I would have guessed there.
Yeah, that is a lot. Definitely for the NFL, so it's a bit interesting. I don't know if I'm touching it. I would lean under if you're looking at over-under play for me personally. The only thing that kind of sucks is this is a dome game, right? So that number is interesting there. I'd like to know out of the 13, since 2013 and 14, how many of those games were in a dome, right? Because it's 4 and 7 to the under right there. So was there any of those in a dome? Right? I mean, we'd have to go and track that down. So that's why I'm like, I don't even know if I touched something like that. Oh, we got it right here. If you break it down, indoors versus outdoors, 5-2 to the over indoors, 6-1 to the under outdoors. Aha! Whoa. There we go. Boom. There we go. Woo. Okay. So I would...
so over.
Yeah. So I'm leaning over here strictly on that. For that look. Yeah. Okay. Just because of the indoors factor. I think this is an extremely tough game to bet. Obviously, you want to feel the vibe of the Commanders, right? You want to feel that roar with no pun intended here because the roar would be on the other side. But you want to feel it with Daniels, right? You love what you saw. But I looked at the game grades of that Commanders and Buccaneers game. Man, the Commanders defense isn't that good, man. They have a lot of games where they tackle very poorly, and that was actually a game where they tackled very poorly in that game. If they continue to go with the poor tackling in this game, it'll be a rout. I don't know if you want to factor in Montgomery coming back at all. I don't, but Gibbs is such a boss, it doesn't really matter. So I do expect a heavy dosage of the running game here due to the defense being relatively poor on the Commander side. I believe it's 28th rushing ranked defense on the Commanders. I looked at Gibbs' prop. It's at 84.5 rushing. The Montgomery thing, does he steal like 5 carries there? That would suck.
Yeah, that's high for Montgomery coming back. I didn't think he was just going to like integrate in the defense so right away or offense.
Yeah.
Like, that's saying he doesn't do anything almost.
Yeah. I agree. I wanted the Gibbs over, and now I'm like, whoa. With Montgomery back, I might get a spell or two where I get stolen. So that sucks. I kind of took a look at maybe some receiving props, right? But like those are high too. Like for St. Brown, I think he's in 76.5 or something like that. Lattimore played awful in the last game, but Sanistill, I think I'm saying his name correctly, has played well, has played better, right? He's been a relatively solid corner. There's just some, it's kind of like, oh, that looks nice, but, right, Montgomery's back. That looks nice, but Sanistill's played well, so who does he match up against on the wide receiver side? You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of buts out there that I'm just kind of like, I don't really know on that front. But nonetheless, I don't have a bet on this game. Let's be clear. I'm just kind of giving some research that I was doing because I really dove into this Eckler-Thomas thing because their rushing props are low. But here's the thing. The Lions defense is very good. Right? They have one of the best rush defenses in the league. So that's kind of tough to bet there, right? So like it's just really tough to kind of just judge off of like how you're going to attack it. And personally for me, this might be a live bet situation. I was looking at maybe having a bounce back week with the Daniels rushing because I was on Daniels rushing last week, but it was under, right? So he did not go over his total for rushing. We didn't need to because they were winning, right? Generally, I mean, they were in the game, right? But like he didn't need to run it because Terry McLaurin looked pretty damn good. I did hit that
because he was just throwing it everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, McLaurin was making some dope catches. I just, again, the Eckler and Thomas rushing totals are low, but kind of how we just talked with Reed, they both split, Andy Reid, they both split snaps, Eckler and Thomas do. So you can't trust one of them to get over the rushing total because you don't know. You're just banking on a big run.
Yeah.
That's it. The only thing that's a maybe, right, would be, I know you've done these bets a couple of times, and I haven't seen one really in my book that I've looked for, would be longest reception. You've done a couple of those, right?
Yeah, I was looking those over.
So if I'm assuming, and you can tell me if I'm wrong here, you think that the Commanders will be playing from behind, right?
Yep.
Okay. You're going to have to help me out with the name. The slot guy for the Commanders.
Oladies.
Olamide, whatever. Zacchaeus?
Zacchaeus.
Zacchaeus, thank you.
Zacchaeus.
A lot more snaps, starting basically week 15 and forward. He's gotten a lot more snaps. If you look kind of at his longest reception, he's got some, he doesn't get a ton of targets, but they're going to be yards after catch / deep ball reception, right? Type of look. So I would bank on a longest reception by him. I don't have it in my book, so I have no idea what they would put it at. Right.
16.5.
Oh, that's a good number. I don't know if I would take that now. I was hoping 12, which is where I was at, right? For that one, because if you go look at his longest receptions on the year, right? And what did I say? He's getting a lot more targets pretty much, or I'm sorry, let me rephrase. Getting a lot more snaps, more specifically, starting about week 15 or so on. Since that started, longest reception has been 14, 49, 16, 29, and then obviously the wild card weekend, he only had 8. What's his longest? Okay.
Yeah, 3 targets.
Correct. So I'm banking on not a lot of targets, but I'm banking on maybe a long reception. 16, I was hoping for 12. I think that'd be a definite. But now I'm like, because if you look at his numbers, he's really come on here of later in the year. I mean, we're talking 37, or he's got a couple touchdowns there, a few really over the years. So like,
yeah, you're right. He wasn't doing shit until about 4 games left.
Yeah. So the 16 kind of sucks because I was hoping Vegas would be kind of asleep at the wheel on this cat. And clearly they're not. All right. Anyway, well, if your book has less than that, which is very possible for a guy that doesn't get a lot of snaps / targets, it's possible you could get closer to 12. Anyway, that's just my thought.
Man, yeah, I'm seeing it. I just open on action, though. Every book, at least in Colorado, is 16.5 or 17.5. Every book.
I don't know about that. Just because the Lions defense is nice, man. It's a pretty solid squad. You know what I mean?
They're not bad. They don't have a great pass rush. They've lost some guys on the line.
Yeah, Hutchinson had 6 billion sacks in the first 5 games of the year, and then they kind of regression to the mean.
now they blitz like hell. They're one of the highest blitzing teams late in the year. Yeah. The Lions are with a lot of man coverage behind it, so that'll be interesting too because Jaden Daniels could pop off some big runs with that strategy.
Yeah. 5th highest rated special teams in the league. Out of playoff teams remaining, they are ranked, I believe it's number 1. They are ranked number 1 out of playoff teams remaining in special teams. I don't know what that means, but take what you will from it. Golf's records indoors, 34, 13, and 1 ATS. It's pretty sweet.
That is amazing. Wow.
That is pretty sweet. Makes it really hard. Plus, we talked about this last week. The Chargers were on that third game road stretch, right, out of the road trip. Because I don't know if you want to count playoffs as a road trip, a part of that, because they made it. But anyway, they were on their 3rd game. The Commanders are also now on their 3rd game in a row on the road. Teams are 5-13 straight up the last 3 seasons for that number.
Yeah. Okay. That's and a short week too.
And a short week.
They have a lot stacked against them here.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying there's a lot of crazy things. You want to ride that train of the hot team, but I don't know. It's just kind of hard to bet against the Lions because they're so good, right? All right, moving on. Okay, Rams at Eagles. I think a lot of people were surprised to see the Rams win last week. I thought about throwing some similar like a Texans bet, throwing some dollars over at the Rams way just because of like the value alone. I was like, come on. I mean, the Vikings were so bad, but like it's the thing, were they so bad? Are we knee-jerking reaction? I don't know. Anyway, I didn't.
You did not.
I did not. But, the Rams went on to win, obviously, so that's interesting. I'll give you this stat, and then I'll kick it to you. Okay? We're going to have a little bit of a cold one here in Philadelphia, right? In Stafford, we'll be playing in this. Stafford has just 1 game started in the last 3 years in any weather colder than 40 degrees. That's this year at the Jets, and they only scored 19 points. Their team total is at 19 and a half.
So that's the only time in his career.
Last 3 years.
He
played at the Lions, so there were probably some cold weather.
Yeah, a lot of right dome team, but obviously played against the Bears and the Packers.
Correct. So in just the last 3 years, because he's been with the Rams.
Got you. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So he's he's such a vet. I don't really look into that so much.
Okay.
He's been doing it a minute.
Okay.
What I do look into, is when these teams played each other, was not that long ago. Sorry, I should have had this pulled up here. And Rams couldn't do shit in that game either. Well, Rams haven't been good offensively like the last 10 weeks. When they got Nakua and Cooper Kupp back, they looked like great for a couple games.
Right.
And it was like, all right, they're about to take off. And they haven't looked great really for a while, I don't think, on offense. And they didn't have to do anything against the Vikings, so it's hard to tell because they started off hot. And you could just see Sean McVay's eyes. He's like, man, Sam Darnold's going to throw this fucking game. I'm not doing anything now. Once they got up like 21-6 or whatever it was. So they didn't have to show anything last week. Eagles defense continues to be fucking awesome. They're the first rated defense in the NFL by a mile too.
Yep.
And I've talked about Vic Fangio on this because they have a lot of young guys in the secondary and he runs a more complicated system and they have just gotten so much better throughout the year. Completely shut the Packers down, beat their ass because of their defense and all the turnovers because Jalen Hurts didn't do shit. Like, he wasn't very good. They still had a run game, but Jalen Hurts was not fucking good at all.
Right.
Maybe it's rust. I don't know. Is he better? I don't trust it. I don't trust the -6. I don't trust taking the Rams because the Rams had trouble scoring last time they played them. And as much as I like McVay and Matthew Stafford, Philadelphia Eagle just impresses the hell out of me, man. So I'm on the under here. That is the best bet. I'm under 44, just to sum everything up. Because like I said, I don't think Jalen Hurts is good, so I don't think their offense, because the Rams' defense is young too, but more on the defensive line, and they have come on too. So both these teams' defenses, young in different areas, have both come on really strong.
Yep.
And yeah, man, it's going to be a defensive battle. No interest in taking a side, but I like the under.
Just another. Rams give up 61.3 receiving yards to tight ends on average. That's the fifth most in the NFL. Goddard was out for practice today due to illness. So that's a little concerning. Calcaterra did start for 3 games when Goddard was out earlier in the year, but he really hasn't had a whole lot of snaps here later on. So if you're looking at a tight end prop, I think you need to just sit out this one if Goddard doesn't play. Now, Calcaterra has 1 touchdown in his entire career. I actually picked him up in fantasy and started him the week that he did have it, which is pretty insane. So if you want to go for gold on this, and Goddard is still sick going into the game, it's plus 1,000 for Calcaterra for anytime TD. Just a thought.
Okay.
That's just
got to monitor the injury report.
That was just a random note. Okay. If you look at the Rams defense as well, though, and I'm talking just last 3 weeks of this regular season, they really kind of limped in. Now, they played a lot better last week. Don't get me wrong, right? Donald's been struggling. He still struggled and whatnot, and let your defense kind of go win it. But going into that, there was some concern. So I don't know. Does the defense come back that we're seeing? I don't know. It's going to be a Saquon Barkley show, so we'll see kind of how that shakes out. I have the craziest bet, I think, that you will not expect going into this game, and I'll just get it out of the way. I'm kind of playing on the Stafford cold weather thing. I'm going under a half a rushing yard for Matthew Stafford here.
Oh, my gosh.
That one game that he did play in the last 3 years that's been under 40 degrees was actually versus the Jets. They only scored 19 points, but he had -4 rushing yards. Now, when these two teams did play, Stafford did have a rush for 15 yards, right? He had 1 rush for 15 yards. However, he did also fumble the football.
On that 1 rush.
So whatever you want to take there. So he might be afraid to rush against his team. I don't know. Also, we got another short rest game here. But I don't know if you want to factor that in just based off this trend here. I'm out. McVay is 8-2 against the spread with Stafford as his QB on short rest. Wow. So that trends out for me in terms of that. This is based off simply on just defense, man. I was looking at the same thing. Eagles defense is pretty damn good. Obviously, good corners. Their D-line is pretty solid, right? I've hit a couple sack props, but not a ton on them this year with that. In terms of pass rush on the defensive line, so to speak. But nonetheless, like I'm a big fan of Sweat on the other side. What is it? Jalen Carter? Is that his name? The defensive tackle? Sorry, I have it up right here. Yes, Jalen Carter, absolute boss as well, getting after the quarterback. Hit a sack prop earlier this year on him. A lot of this is going to be resting on Stafford's shoulders, I think, and I don't know if I'm prepared to bet for him. So this is, as we get to the end here, I do have another moneyline parlay coming up with some money lines involved, and Eagles are a part of that for sure. Right.
So you do like them to win this game?
I do. Yes, I definitely do. I think the weather plays in their factor because you got to remember last week's game was in Glendale, Arizona, which is basically a dome, right? Yep. And they usually play, I guess, in a dome already. So I think the weather's going to be on the Eagles side. Here, it's just there's going to come a time. I don't know if it's going to be this game, but there's going to come a time they're going to need Hurts to step up, man.
Yeah.
And they might get through this one, but it's going to come to bite them at some point, right? You win Super Bowls and quarterbacks and defenses, man. And I don't know if he's the answer this year.
I agree. And he's got such a great defense. But that's an excellent point because he may get away with it this game, but he's not next game. He's not.
And he's got good-ass receivers, too.
Yeah, he does. And the best running game and the best fucking offensive line. He has no excuses.
Like,
that guy has the best support system.
You have a guy that's a deep threat monster. You got a guy with great hands. And you got a tight end who's very respectable, obviously when healthy. He's been sick and injured some, but anyway.
Yep. Stud running back.
Yep, obviously a stud running back who has who MVP looks in terms of voting this year a little bit, in and out. So, but that's my bet. If you want to have a good laugh, it's under 1.5 rushing yards. It's just gonna be cold, man. I don't see Stafford want to get out there and get to
talk
speed.
About a coin flip. Just make sure he doesn't have a scramble. That's it.
I mean, I could get some negative rushing yards. We had it against the Jets when it was that cold. So,
like taking a knee because there's no design runs. They don't lose rushing yards on sacks. So, like,
correct.
I think a negative is just taking a knee because he wouldn't have a designed like run play. You know.
Correct. Last year the Super Bowl this year, I had Mahomes over rushing, and it hit, and then he took knees at the end of the game, and then it didn't. I don't know if you know that or not. Yeah,
that's tough.
Lost it by 2 yards. Now I'd won a shit ton of money in terms of my unit wise. But I would have made even more money with that over rushing prop for Mahomes. But he kneeled twice, I think, at the end of the game there.
Man, that hurts.
Yeah, kind of funny. So you never know what can happen with kneels in the NFL. Okay, moving on. We have the last game, which I think we've said this before with the Oregon and Ohio State game. We said this is going to be the best one out of the group. NFL usually comes through with stuff like this, right? That Chiefs-Bills game earlier this year, that was a really good one. Stuff like that. Chiefs-Bengals was really good there early in the year. I would like to think this is also the same situation, right? Ravens at Bills. This open, Bills favored. This probably will close Ravens favored, right? What is your play?
Yes. I bet this game early on. The only game I bet, really. And it's because I thought the line would move in my favor. So I took the Ravens money line, minus 110. It hasn't, at that point, I could have got them at plus 1.5. So that is when the Bills were the favorite. So I took the Ravens pretty early here. We have the previous game. I know it's been a minute, but the Ravens kind of beat the Bills' ass because they ran all over them. Everyone's talked about they get Milano back, Terrell Bernard, and then Taron Johnson, who's in the secondary from that game that didn't play on defense. But man, our Bills are rated so bad on the rush defense still. And they've had those guys back a minute, and they're like 29th, if I remember right. They're so bad. And it's probably going to be a cold weather game, too. I'm going to guess. It's Sunday night. Definitely the game of the year, though, so far. This could easily be the AFC Championship game, right? They have to duke it out. If you're a Chiefs fan, you're grateful that you don't have to be in this shit.
Yeah.
So I like the Ravens, man. I think they can run, and I think they're going to have some success here. Their defense is also ascended. We're not talking Eagles. status, not at all. But I like how they've gotten better over the year with Zach Orr, first-time defensive coordinator for them, because they lost like everybody in the offseason from their coaching staff. So anyways, yeah, I see a little bit of a dissension from the Ravens defense here, and I think they're going to continue to have rushing success. And it won't be as bad as that game a couple months ago. But so another angle. I think this is, if you want a teaser, advantage teaser, take Bills from 1.5 to 7.5. Fucking love it.
Yeah, that is pretty nice.
Right?
Like I wouldn't see Allen losing by that much, especially if he has the ball last. Anyway, I just yes, this game's going to be good. I kind of looked at their last game a little bit. You know, Allen did not play very well. Not really. Yeah, that's his fourth worst game this year in terms of grade. Was Josh Allen, right? Well under his prop for passing yards. He only had 6 first downs in that game. Yeah. Pretty nuts. That's the second lowest all year. They had one game that had 5. But anyway, tied for the highest game of drops for them as a team. 3 drops, which in the NFL, drops are kind of rare in terms of a cumulative drops. Like, you know, when you get into 3, 4, 5 for good teams like this. Now, with all due respect, let's not get out of context. It's not like the Bills have amazing receivers, but they got like Cooper's still fine. Right? Like, I mean, he doesn't get a ton of targets like he used to. But like, and then they got Shakir, and then Coleman's had some really nice plays this year, so they don't have scrubs. But I was kind of taking a look at that. So like, I think the Ravens win the game. So I see the Bills playing from behind. So I see a little bit of an Allen chip on your shoulder, but playing from behind, so ready to sling it. So with that said, I got over 240.5 passing yards. Okay. Just because I see a bit of a bounce back game for him. What's your thoughts on his rushing yards? 46.5.
Oof, that seems high, but yeah, he's not afraid to run in the playoffs.
That's it. That's what I'm saying.
He is not afraid to run. I don't mind that number. I'd like to go see
what you got.
Let's see here. Yeah, so it's 46.5, same as you.
Okay.
This Broncos game, let's see here, because he didn't even need to run a lot. And he's still 8 for 46 in that game. I guess he ran up until the fourth quarter. Didn't really run in the fourth quarter. Didn't need to, right? That's when they had broken open. Point is, that was a good amount of rushing. Yeah. What do you think? Do you like it?
If you just look at his last 3 games in the playoffs, right? Like, you got 46 yards, 8 attempts, 46 yards when they played Denver this year. Versus Kansas City, 12 rushes, 72 yards, right? Last year that they lost barely. And then the game before that, he had 8 rushes for 74 yards, and that was against the Steelers. So the last 3 games, he's been getting after it. Now, I think you're banking on, personally, at least 7-8 rushes in this game. Right? The only kicker is, like, what do they do? Now, if you look at 2021, when he played Baltimore, 7 rushes, 3 yards. Right? Does that factor in at all? Right? Harbaugh's still there. And that was in the playoffs, you know? So I'd like to say over, because if they're playing from behind, he's going to run more. Right? You're going to get your attempts. Yeah. You're going to get that. Right? Because if you look at the playoff here, I'm going to go over playoff games he's lost. You ready for this one?
Let's do it.
Playoff games only that he's lost. 9 rushes, 92. 7 rushes, 88. 11 rushes, 68. 8 rushes, 26. That was against the Bengals team. 12 rushes, 72. That's in games lost. So he's well over this total, except for 1, and that was against the Bengals.
What do you think about his long rush, 12.5?
I actually love it.
Like, I do too.
Because, like, he's always good for, like, what? He's athletic as shit. Kind of run. Like, That's why I've been saying for years. And they did do, well, that's probably why he's not playing now. They did do it with Trevor Lawrence this year. And they got their ass beat with that idea. Anyway, I like that a lot. I was going to look a bit closer at his rushing numbers here on PFF. Yeah, if you go, so you can't even count week 18. Screw that because he just played one snap. But he's hit that in every game since week 9. And in the week 17 versus the Jets, it was a 10-yard run. So I like it a lot. And it's games. So if you think, which I know you're on the fence, if you think the Ravens will win, I think this is over 12.5 rushing yards. The longest rush is a good bet. That's what I think. What's your thought?
Which, yeah, no, I like that. I like that. And especially going through what games he's lost. Yeah, because I was looking at like high leverage games this year in the Rams and the Lions. Cleared 50 and 60 in those games. So you're so right. In high leverage games, because early in the year, didn't really run. And then as it got towards the end of the year in the high leverage games, he runs so much more.
Yep.
So you give me that with the playoffs, and I'm like, yes, but he always breaks shit off. He does. When you go look at those games, his long rush is between 20 and 30 yards.
Yep.
So I was like, I think I like attacking that more.
Man, I'm trying to find longest rush. I never have that. I'm going to have to wait.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Damn.
I might have to wait. I have longest pass completion, but I don't want that. Yeah, if I go to rushing, I don't have it. I have rushing yards and random shit like that, like rush attempts.
Damn.
I know. I'm going to have to keep an eye on that because I really do enjoy it.
Yeah, maybe later in the week. I have them on my books, but
yeah, I think later in the week
hard.
I'll be a lot
You
better.
get it open.
Maybe tomorrow, like sack bets. Although sack bets are already out there a lot, and I haven't done too much research on that on sack bets. But anyway, I like the longest rush nonetheless, 12.5 with that. So it's a good game anyway. In terms of what I have, this is so random. I know I'm random. I did some deep dive. I'm trying to go a little bit off the script here and what I'm finding. But Amari Cooper under 21.5 receiving yards. I thought that was a bit high for him. And if you kind of look at it, I know it kind of goes against what we were just talking about necessarily with, them playing from behind. But like if you look at it, he's not really involved that much anymore. It's really kind of weird to me.
It's very rare.
A lot of these props can hit on snaps played, right? You've said that. You've alluded to that. We've touched base on that. He only averages like 14 snaps played right now. And that's really concerning to me with this. And if you look at since basically week 15 and on, if you take that big old bomb for a touchdown, that was such a sick catch that he had in week 17 versus the Jets. I don't even remember that. That was a sick play. He's way under all of that, 21.5. So he hasn't hit this over since week 14, and that was when he went off. I don't know. Oh, Puka was probably out maybe in week 14. He had 14 targets.
14 targets,
versus
95
Chargers.
yards. Rams,
sorry.
Yeah, that was that shootout, 44-42. Yeah, and it's funny because he hasn't been used since then.
Not really.
Three targets a game, and not getting shit.
So he only plays about 14 snaps and gets 3 targets. So that's kind of like I'm banking on just the limited amount of snaps here. In this game. And the Ravens aren't terrible. Obviously, they were halfway through the year. They were pretty much the number one tackling team. Obviously, they've rescinded a decent bit, but they're still in the top 10 in terms of Ravens tackling. So that's why I'm just like, man, I don't just see Cooper getting involved very much here. So I have under 21.5 Amari Cooper and then over 240.5. I know it sounds hilarious, but over 240.5 passing yards for Josh Allen. I think that's a bad number. Action had it 237.5. So for that one.
Yeah, if you like it, you like it. It's 3 yards passing.
I know.
Yeah.
All right. We'll hop. Anything else on that before we get to best bets?
No, just excited to watch it, man. That's it.
What team has a chance to pull off an upset?
I'm going Rams.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not bad. I hate betting against defenses. I would go Texans.
Wow.
I know.
Going against Mahomes, you're insane.
Yeah, because I can't choose like Bills. Like,
yeah, that game it narrows it down to 3 games.
It's a toss up, right? Like, come on. I mean, shit. It's even money, or maybe a little bit worse than that, right? I don't think Commanders have a shot. Just kind of the things of a short rest and all that, and playing at the Lions in the dome, blah blah. Like, yeah. So I'm gonna go with Texans just based off some of the matchup advantages they have. Good corners, good defensive ends, weak tackles on the Chiefs. That's why. But yes, you have the trump card. You have Mahomes. So that's why it's so tough. All right. We'll get to best bets here, and I'll flash it up here for us. Make it a little bit bigger for you guys. Do slideshow mode style. There we go. Oh, sorry. You can go first. What you got?
Okay, starting with me, throwing a loop in it.
Yeah.
You're gonna laugh. Got a teaser again because teaser. So I do not think the Texans win. So I took the Chiefs. I love this bet, dude. Love this bet. I have this line in way too many bets. Just everything Chiefs and Lions, man. I think Sunday's going to be a great day, but I think Saturday, I don't think they're going to be blowouts necessarily. I'm not saying that because I think the Chiefs do start slow and end up coming back. But I love the favorites here, man. I do. And then Rams Eagles under 44. Talked about all the reasons, man. That game might end fucking 34. So that's even like that more than the teaser.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah,
love the under, man.
I saw the Chiefs Lions was a popular teaser play this week on some outlets. So that kind of makes sense there. All right. Let's see. What else do we got here? What I got? There we go. Going back to what I think. Moneyline parlay. I got it at minus 103. I've seen some books have better numbers out there for a moneyline parlay. Chiefs, Lions, Eagles. I love it. Obviously, I'm not flirting. If you want to go crazy and add a Ravens or even Bills, be my guest. But that's such a, how this toss-ups on it. But anyway, I got it minus 103. Love it. Really like that bet. And then I'm going with the Amari Cooper under 21.5 receiving yards. I'm basing this off snaps, kind of alluded to it, averaging around 14 snaps right now. And I see that kind of sticking to it. And plus, Kincaid's back, kind of healthy, a little bit. So maybe some looks there. I don't know, man. That's just, who knows what's going to happen. That's why it's called betting. But anyway, that's the best bets from us. And good luck, everybody. And we'll see y'all next time. Peace.